Welcome back to the Balk Show. If you're new here, which I'm sure you are because this is only my second ever video, well, welcome in. We talk about baseball year round here. What we're going to be talking about today is one of the best parts of the MLB season is coming up, and that's the MLB trade deadline. And it's here in less than a week, so it is fastly approaching. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to look over some of the best trade candidates that have the potential to get traded at the deadline. I'm going to kind of give my thoughts on whether I think they're going to get traded. Maybe give you some input on where I think they might land. This is a list by ESPN. I'm going to review over. This is their top 100 candidates. We're only going to go over the first 25 or so. So let's dive right into this thing. I love the trade deadline, man. To me, it's one of the best parts of the entire season. So I'm a big Guardians fan. I don't expect us to do much at the deadline. I mean, we've lost four straight. I think we would have maybe been a little more aggressive if we were playing better going into the deadline, but where we're playing right now, dropping all the way back down to 500, I honestly don't expect. I don't think we're going to sell out, but I honestly don't expect us to do much. But first candidate we got here, we have Tariq Skubal, and honestly, at this point, this list was about a week ago, had him at a 60% chance of being traded. He would be a rental. I don't think Detroit's going to move off of him. I think in the really weak AL, I think he's so good that I think the only way Detroit was ever going to move off of him at the deadline this year if they were just completely out of playoff contention, which they are not. They've actually kind of clawed their way back into it. They're climbing towards 500, even though they've dropped a couple in a row. Unless they lose like their next four, I really do think Tarek's going to stay in Detroit. But if he was to move, I really think Milwaukee and the Rays both are going to make a big splash and really surprise somebody. But the heavy hitters are being involved. The Dodgers, Cubs, Phillies. But I think he's going to stay put. Next up is Byron Buxton. I'm not going to harp on him too long. I don't think Buxton's getting moved. The Twins are one game out of a wild card spot. That's the first thing. Number two is he said last year, I'm a Twin for life. I think the fact that if Byron Buxton wants to be a Twin, they're going to honor that. They're not going to move off from him. He's also having a career year, maybe the best year of his career. So I think Buxton's going to stay put, to be honest with you. I don't really think he has much of a chance of getting moved. Next one's another Twin, Joe Ryan. If you'd asked me this question a week ago, I would have said for sure yes. I even think there's a chance still that he gets moved. And honestly, he could be a suitor for any one of these teams who are in contention. Obviously the Cubs could use some starting pitching help. Obviously the Braves could use a little bit of starting pitching help, surprisingly enough. The Cardinals, who are still kind of fighting their way. But I honestly think his biggest suitors, the White Sox could really use him, but they're not going to trade him in division. I would really look for the Cubs or the Braves to be a really good suitor for him if he was to get moved. But they may hang on to him. I'd say it's about 50-50 at this point, the way they're playing. I really thought they were going to move on from him last year, and they didn't when they got rid of everyone else. So he was an all-star this year. He's having a great year, even though he just had a terrible start. So I'd say it's 50-50 on Joe Ryan, to be honest with you. Next guy, we got Mason Miller. I don't think they're going to move on from Miller, but I honestly think they should. The only reason I think they're not going to is because of all the years of control they have left. I mean, they have 3 years of control left on Miller after this year, and he has a .8 ERA. It would be a very, 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 very. It would not be a very well received move by the fans. The fans would be furious, but I honestly get it because you would get an absolute haul from Mason Miller if they were to trade him. And I honestly don't like the direction that San Diego's heading in, but I get a lot can change in 3 years. So I wouldn't be super shocked if they can hang on to him. San Diego's a mess, man. I mean, that offense, it's the worst offense in the MLB. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, the Xander Bogaerts contract has been a disaster. Jackson Merrill is not playing good. Machado is having maybe the worst season of his career, even though he is slugging well. Tatis got off to the horrible start. I mean, just a terrible season all around for San Diego. I honestly would move off of him. I don't think they're going to, but if they were to move off of him, again, everybody's in the mix. I honestly think the Brewers are the team to watch out for if they move off of him here. I think that they have a really good bullpen, but they don't have that guy. I know McGill closes out games. They have some other guy close out games. They don't have that guy at the back end of the bullpen, though, ever since they lost Williams and they lost, Hader a couple years ago. I think the Brewers would be the team to watch to get Miller. I really do. I think that they think that could be the guy to put him over the edge. Next up, Shea Langoliers. This was from a few days ago. Langoliers obviously not going to get moved now just because of the season-ending injury, which is just terrible, by the way. Having a career year, all-star this year, I wouldn't have wanted them to move on from him anyways. Like, I think he's too valuable with 2 years of control left. Wouldn't have made any sense to me for them to move off of him, but I definitely don't think he's getting moved now with the season-ending injury. Zach Neto, I think this is really exciting. I don't think he's going to get moved just because of the 3 years of control he has left. And oh man, but he's so good though, man. This is a guy. If Zach Neto does become available at the deadline though, oh man, I mean, what a huge get that can be for somebody. I think the big team to watch here is the Braves. Just kind of with the hole that they have at shortstop. I think the Yankees could also very well be in play here with kind of the infield spot that they have open. I know Caballero has done a pretty good job, but if the Yankees get their hands on a guy like this, so I honestly think the Braves and I think the Yankees would be the two biggest teams to watch if Neto does become available. I don't think that he will. Um, I don't think that he will. But if he does, I think those will be the two biggest teams to watch. Next up is another star shortstop. Jeremy Payne is another guy I don't think's going anywhere, man. Especially he is surging right now. Hit 2 home runs a day. He's got an OPS up into the 850s again. Have another huge year. I really do think that they view him as part of the future in Houston. Like I know he's aging maybe a little bit, but he's still a young guy. He's still in his 20s. I just don't think you can move him, especially with another year left. I think that especially because Houston, I don't think is just dead. Like I think Houston, maybe Houston can one claw their way back into the playoff race this year because the AL is so bad, and two, maybe they can have a good year next year. So if you're terrible again next year, maybe you think about moving on from it. But I think with having another year of control of him, it doesn't make any sense to me. I know you could get a really good haul, but again, I think it'd be those same teams. I think the Rays would really be in the mix with looking for a shortstop, the Braves and the Yankees again, looking for an infielder. I think the Red Sox would be more out of play after getting Meade, but hey, you never know. Hunter Goodman, I think that it would make no sense to me. I know there's kind of been some chatter about Goodman being on the trading block, but it wouldn't make a ton of sense to me, especially with 3 years of control left. But I mean, everyone is in play here. It honestly is just going to be who's willing to give up the most. I mean, you have Yankees are very well in play. The Red Sox are very well in play. The Phillies. I mean, all of these teams are any of these teams that are fighting for a playoff spot would be in play for a guy like Goodman. He probably would be the best player, the best bat instantly on the trading block. But with 3 years of control left, guy who's probably going to hit 40, maybe 45 bombs this year, I don't think he's going anywhere. So I think he's going to stay put. CJ Abrams, I would almost be willing to say there is zero chance that he gets traded the way he's swinging it right now. 2 more homers again today. But again, those same teams. I think the Braves would be in play. I think the Rays would be in play. Yankees. Those are like my big three. I do think I think all 3 of those teams are going to be really aggressive in trying to go out and add an infielder, especially particularly an infielder that can really swing it. So an instant offense bat. Because all 3 of those teams, particularly the Braves and the Yankees, they need a little more thunder in that lineup. The Braves started off the year really hot, but they've kind of faltered off. Yankees have really struggled without Judge. So yeah, but he's not going anywhere, man. It would make no sense to me. He's playing at an MVP level right now, and Washington is trending in all the right directions. It would be such a shame if they moved on from him. I just made a video about him today, and that Juan Soto trade and how ridiculous that was. So I hope not. Luis Ariz, he's definitely getting moved. This is one of the best bats on the market. A guy that really for a couple of reasons. One, he's one of the best players in the market because one, we know what he does with the bat. Like you know what you're going to get, but he's having again one of the better years of his career. He's hitting around 330. He's getting on base. But the big thing about him this year is how good he's been as a defensive player. So he's been a plus defender this year and a plus moving back over to second base. He's been a really good defender so far in 2026. And this is a guy that could suit anybody. I mean, the Dodgers could be in play here. The Yankees could be in play here. Blue Jays, Diamondbacks, Guardians, all these teams. Like I actually really liked him as a fit for the Guardians, but I honestly think he's probably would be willing to give up a little bit too much to go get him. The Pirates are a fun team, but again, I think it's some of those same teams. I think the Rays are in play. I think the Yankees are in play. I honestly can picture Luis Ariz wearing those Yankee pinstripes after the trade deadline. I honestly think that makes a bunch of sense. I feel like he's kind of to be able to succeed in New York, I feel like it takes a certain type of player. We've seen that over the years. We've seen so many guys go there at the deadline and just completely fail. I feel like Luis Ariz is just a slow heartbeat type of guy. He's going to hit no matter what jersey he wears. Honestly, my prediction, I think he goes to New York. I think I can see him in New York after the deadline, but he's 100% getting moved. Next up, Reed Detmers. And this is a weird one. Has 2 years of control left, so that maybe could make it to where he doesn't get moved. He could be looked at. One, he can really help you. I mean, depending on what you need, depending on which team's going after him. I mean, this could be a guy that um this could be a guy that maybe could be looked at, as a long relief guy. This could be a guy looked at as a back end of the bullpen guy, or this could be a guy that somebody needs as a starting pitcher. He's had really good moments. He has really good swing and miss stuff, but he still is just so he's just so inconsistent, man. Like he has really good stuff and he has his moments, but he's just so inconsistent. It's like he either goes 8 shutout with 14 strikeouts or he gives up 7 earned. But a lot of those teams that need pitching are going to be in play here. I think the Cubs would 100% be in play for Detmers. I think the Rays would be in play for Detmers. I think the White Sox would really be in play for Detmers. Um, Also, everybody can use bullpen help. Anybody who's in contention could use bullpen help. Honestly, would really like the White Sox. I think he may get moved with 2 years left. Also, I just think with Detmers at this point too, it doesn't even have as much to do with the control as it does with he's just been around for so long and just hasn't panned out at this point. Like I'm not saying he may not carve out a good career, but he's not the frontline lefty starter that he was supposed to be coming up as an elite prospect. So I wouldn't be surprised if they moved on from him. I really like the White Sox as a team to watch here. Francisco Lindor, he's not going anywhere. It's possible. The Mets are definitely going to be fire selling at the deadline. They're going to move on from a lot of guys. I don't think they're giving up Lindor with 5 years left on that big contract. And I get he's aging out. He'll be 33 going into next season, but right at the end of this season. But a guy that almost won the MVP just a couple of years ago, I don't think there's any way they move on from him yet. So I honestly think that I don't see it, man. Like I really don't see it. Like I think it could be something that happens eventually. I don't see it happening this year, but if it was to happen against some of those same teams, I think for a haul like this and to be able to take on that salary, it would have to be one of the big market teams. Like look for the Yankees to maybe be in play. Look for Boston maybe be in play. Even the Dodgers because the Dodgers are always in play, even though they don't necessarily need him. Maybe even the Blue Jays just playing for the future. So next up, we got Sonny Gray. This was about a week ago. Sonny Gray is absolutely not getting moved. Like, I know that we just saw Connolly Early get moved yesterday, but this is not. Sonny Gray is pitching at a borderline Cy Young level. He's maybe the ace of that staff in Boston, a team that's surging, a team that's going to make the playoffs in a weak AL. He's not going to get moved. Another one, Wilson Contreras. Again, this week's about a week old. Wilson Contreras, it's not even a conversation. He's playing an MVP level on a team that's going to make the playoffs. The Red Sox are going to be buyers at the deadline at this point. He's not getting moved. Adley Rutschman, I think this is one of the more intriguing ones of on this list, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised. I think at this point in Baltimore, I I wouldn't be opposed to them moving on from him. Like I think it kind of makes sense. He's got one more year after this year. He's carved out a good career. He's not the player prospect he was supposed to be. Like he really has been a disappointment the last few years. Even with a little bit of a resurgence this year, he has been better this season. It still isn't what he's supposed to be. And when you have a young Pasio is so good and he's such a stud and he's so young and he swings it better than Adley does, I think it's possible. We could see them move on from him. I think the Phillies could really be in play here. I really like the idea of maybe the Pirates being in play, or even they have a couple of young catchers that they really like. Obviously, I think the Yankees and Red Sox would be in play. Um, but I don't know, man. I think he's somebody that could really help somebody out, though, because even though maybe he isn't what we expect him to be, he's still having a pretty good year. So he doesn't maybe hit for the power that maybe he thought he should in his career, but he's still a really good player, man. But I think a lot of it just has to do with the circumstance of having Samuel Pasio and such a young catcher behind him that, I mean, they're already finding ways to get his bat in the lineup every day. But if they want to start giving him more looks behind the plate, I I think it's possible they could get moved on from. So Casey Mize from Detroit. Look, if Detroit, I wouldn't be surprised if they hold on to Tarek. If there's any, it's weird. I don't really know what Detroit's going to do. It might be one of those weird things where they kind of sell just a little bit, but don't sell everyone off. Don't have like a super aggressive sale. If that's the case, I think Casey Mize would be one of the dudes to go. He's having a really good year, but he's still a guy that I think it would. He would be a rental for someone. I don't know if Detroit wants to re-sign him. He's having the best year of his career. He's really injury prone. It makes sense to maybe get something back for him while you can. I think the Braves would really be in play here. I think the Brewers maybe could be in play and maybe try to get him into their pitching factory as a former number one overall pick. I think the White Sox would really be in play, which again, I don't know if they would trade in division, but they definitely need some starting pitching because they look like they're going to win that division. So I think the Rays can be a play, maybe try to get him into their pitching factory as well. The Diamondbacks, they need some starting pitching. So any of those teams that really need some starting pitching, I actually like the Braves fit here. I'm making a prediction. I honestly think he has a good chance to get moved, and I like him to Atlanta. Casey Mize to the Atlanta Braves. Clay Holmes is definitely getting moved. And again, some of those same teams, he's having the best year of his career. He's has an opt out after the season. He's probably going to use it. So it's pretty much just a rental. So to get something back from a team that's not making the playoffs. So I think the Cubs could be a really good fit. Again, the Braves, the Brewers, get into that pitching factory. Pretty much anybody can use starting pitching down the stretch. I think some of the only teams, the Red Sox aren't going to be looking for starting pitching. They don't need any. I don't even necessarily think the Dodgers need starting pitching, but I definitely think the Braves, the Cubs, the White Sox, those are the teams I think are going to be really aggressive in the starting pitching market. So look for them to maybe get aggressive going after Clay Holmes at the deadline because he's definitely going to get moved. Jung Ho Lee, 3 more years after this year. I don't think he's going to get moved. Like I think that the Giants, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the guys that they have control over, if the Giants kind of hold on to them and maybe they have some guys like they can't move Chapman. They're not getting off that contract. Like they can't move. Like they're going to move Arise, but some of the guys like they can't move Devers. They're not going to be able to move off that contract like Adames. Like some of these guys that contracts aren't necessarily looking that great. They're not going to be able to move these guys. So I think at that point you're just having to run it back anyway. So you might as well hold on to Jung Ho Lee, who has been one of your best bats in your lineup this season. He's sitting over 300. He's been great. He plays a good outfield. So he's a great high contact hitter. He's having the best year of his career. So I don't think they move on from him with 3 years of control just because if you've got to run it back anyways, you might as well hold him to Jung Ho Lee, who's been maybe the best bat in your lineup or one of them, maybe behind, Casey Schmidt. And I know they really like Lockwood, who can really hit. So I think they hold on to him. Kevin Gossman, he would be a rental. I honestly, the way it's heading for Toronto, I honestly think that he may get moved. It's becoming more increasingly likely by the day. Like maybe they want to hold on to him and re-sign him. But again, I think it's some of those same teams. Like I honestly, Kevin Gossman screams being, if it wasn't in division, like he screams being a Ray. But I think the Brewers are a really big possibility. The White Sox, the Braves. Like I really do think the White Sox and the Braves, especially, and the Cubs. I think those three are really going to land one of the coveted starters of the deadline. Like again, there's not any. Most teams can use some starting pitching help. I think a couple of the other teams, like the Yankees, don't need any. The Dodgers don't need any. The Red Sox don't need any. But I think one of those teams are going to land one of these big guys. Next up, you got Aroldis Chapman as we're rounding down the list here. I don't think Chapman's going to get moved. Boston's going to make the playoffs. That's your elite closer. I know he'd be just a rental, so it makes sense. But at this point, they're going to make the playoffs. You get in the dance, anything can happen. It's a weak AL. Boston's plenty good enough to win the AL. I mean, let's call it like it is. I think they hold on to him. Next up, we got Josh Hader. I would really like to see him get moved. I just think it would be so fun. Look, I know he has 2 years, but they're paying him a ton of money to be able to move off of that contract. If he get moves, I'm calling it right now, this is a Yankee. This is the definition of a Yankee. Like I even think that there's a good chance it may happen that Josh Hader ends up in pinstripes after the deadline. Yankees have enough farm system to get up to go after him. It makes sense for the Yankees because they're not just getting a rental. You get a guy that you have 2 years of control left. They've really struggled in that closer spot the past couple of years. You go out and get Hader, you get an elite closer. You get him at $19 million per year, which is steep. I get it, but I think it'd be worth it. I honestly could really see it happen. So if he was to go anywhere, I think Yankees or maybe even Dodgers because it's the Dodgers and they have the farm system to go do it. And it would be 2 years of control. So if they were to go get anybody, I think it would be somebody like this. It's not just going to be, expendable. I could see them maybe making a big move, but it just screams Yankees to me. Maybe Cubs. Maybe even Cubs could be a wild card. Sandy Alcantara, I think at this point, I think he might be getting moved. Like, I think it may actually happen this year, especially with the 12-game slide. And even though he's been a lot better this year, but still struggled at times, he's going to be one of the most coveted pieces at the deadline. Teams are going to be calling about him. The Cubs are going to be calling the Diamondbacks, the Rays, the Braves, the White Sox, Brewers, all these teams who need starting pitching help or could use some starting pitching help. Even though the Brewers have a really good rotation, it's been kind of known they're looking to add maybe some more depth to that staff. So, but I think Sandy may be a little too aggressive for them. But again, all these teams are in the mix. I honestly think Sandy's going to get moved at this point. So with the 12-game slide, it just makes sense. Paredes, I definitely think is getting moved even with 1 year left. I think some of these teams, I don't necessarily see. He seems to be one of those teams that are going to be like fringe buyers, like maybe even the Guardians, because I think he's not going to have too steep of a price. Like the Mariners, I could see him going into the Mariners or in the mix. Like the Phillies, I don't see the Phillies adding a ton at the deadline. So I see like the Phillies maybe going out and getting a guy like this, or like the Pirates, a team that aren't going to be super aggressive buyers, but I think they may do some shopping, may do some buying at the deadline. I think he's going to end up on a team like that, not necessarily one of like the big contenders. I think that's where he's going to end up going, but I do think he gets moved, even with the year control. Seiya Suzuki, I don't think he's going anywhere, even as a rental, and it would make sense. He's such a big part of that Cubs offense, man, and he's really, really, really playing well right now. He's swinging a hot bat. I just don't think you can. I just don't think you can move on from him, man. I would be livid if I was a Cubs fan and we moved on from Seiya Suzuki with more 15 games over 500 or 13 games over 500 after a loss today and moving towards the playoffs. Jose Soriano, I don't think they're going to move off from him, man. Like he's pitching to a low threes ERA still. He was an all-star this year. Like he's still young. I just don't think it makes sense to move off from him yet if you're the Angels, especially when you've struggled so vitally to retain and develop starting pitching. Like I remember they had one draft like a few years ago. They drafted only college starting pitching just because they can't develop pitching. And they have not been successful in drafting pitching at all. I think when you finally get a guy who you've got an ace of a staff, finally an all-star level caliber young pitcher with 2 years of control, you got to hold on to him, man. Even though you're a dumpster fire, a lot can happen in 2 years, even though it probably won't in Anaheim. I think you got to hold on to him. But anyways, I'm not going to move through these last guys at the bottom of the list here. I just wanted to go through these top 25. Again, I absolutely love the trade deadline. I'm so excited for this, man. I hope the Guardians do a little bit, but honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if we're like fringe sellers, just knowing the Guardians. But I honestly think we're just going to sit on our hands. But let me know down in the comments what do you think is going to happen with these guys? What are your predictions? And if you're new here, which I know you are because my channel's brand new, drop me a follow if you love baseball. I'm trying to build the channel up. I only have like 3 or 4 subscribers right now, so subscribe for no other reason than it just helps me out and it helps build the channel. It helps push it to more people. But I appreciate you watching the video.